Good evening to all the participants joining here, and I would like to wish you a very good evening on behalf of the People's Code team. And today we'll be talking about the dignity, future, and the life of the soldiers that the families of the soldiers have expected. So the military have always used military has always been used by the leadership as their own pocket army, and that since the coup, they have to conducted a coup, illegal coup on the 1st of February 2021. Since then, the military, the soldiers, as well as their families who can no longer take the injustice as well as all the violence, they have transitioned towards the side of the people by joining the civil disobedience movement. That they have faced bullying as well as on discrimination and oppression during their service inside the military, and not only for the soldier but also for their families who have joined him in the military bases as well. So here the question is, we'll be talking about that what kind of expectations or the dignity they have expected as soldiers, as members of the soldiers' family, and that what were the expectations of the soldiers and their families, and how do they feel that they have been exploited by the military leadership and the generals? What are the experience and the journey that the soldiers and their families have passed through, and that the difference between the dignified professional life of a soldier and the future they had expected, that they expect the future's dignity and the lives of the soldier. And this is the topic we will be discussing today on the 20th of November at 7 p.m. Myanmar time. So this is the title of our talk show, organized by the People's Code team. And among our speakers, we have Masena, wife of a CDM surgeon, Nyan, a CDM captain, and Dimo, who is a family, who is the son of a CDM soldier as well. And my name is Gao Nguyen, and I'm a CDM captain, and I'll be the moderator for today's talk show. First, I would like to introduce you to the speakers. Firstly, I would like to invite Kodimo. Kodimo, could you introduce yourself? Thank you. My name is Dimu, and I'm a son of a CDM surgeon. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. May I invite Masena, wife of a CDM surgeon? Good evening. My name is Sandar, and wife of a CDM surgeon Guangdu. It's a pleasure to meet all of you here. Thank you. And last but not the least, I would like to invite CDM Captain Tatenya. Please introduce yourself. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Tatenya, a CDM Captain. Thank you for the introductions. Now, I would like to invite Kodimo to start the talk. Kodimo, are you ready? Yes. In that case, my question to you is that you have lived inside them. You have lived on base as a son of the family member of a soldier. So how do you understand the soldier life of your parents and of that of other soldiers? Well, as far as I know, that I have lived on a military base since I was a kid, and I have lived there until the coup. And of course, there is a lot of corruption and bribery on the base, and that that when we live inside the military regiment, we have to look at our parents, and that we have to make sure that our father that does not lose his face in there, and that we have a lot of officers who will be going through different levels, and then we have to really look to you for that, because they always show off their power. They always seem to be abusing their subordinates, even if they are all part of the public service, even if they are all providing service to the people. There will be discrimination against those who have, who are gazetted officials, those who have a certain rank or the position, and those against those who don't. While we were living on base, and that my father have to go to the office, and he has to go and attend the meetings at the office. They don't have any freedom at all, and they don't have any holidays. They don't know, they don't enjoy holidays. They don't know, they just what they have to do on the Saturday, Sundays, they have to do, we call it the FEDIC, which is the cleaning on Saturday. Like the members of the military have to do a mandatory cleaning of the base compound as well. They have extra duties they have to carry on the Saturday and Sunday. During the weekdays, they have to go to office. It's really is, they don't know, they don't have a time out. It's worse for the foot soldiers. Because foot soldiers being the lowest of the totem pole, they often were pushed hard on the unpleasant tasks as well. And inside in the regiment, there is no right or wrong, and there is only the higher position and the superiors, or that you are, if you are lower position, lower rank, and you are subordinate. If you are subordinate, then you don't say anything to your officer. You are not allowed to do anything physical. That anything happened, they will physically punish you, and that's something you have to take, and that they would not let it pass as well. Inside the military, when you live in the quarter, when you live in the military quarters, and that there are a lot of we don't have let me give you an example about lack of equal opportunities living in the military base. That in the military base there will be barracks for their families, there will also be for officers, and sometimes there are blackouts. There is no electricity, and if there is there is such a blackout, the blackout will happen definitely in the barracks for the soldiers or the non-commissioned officers, and that not for the senior officials, not for the mid-level senior. The same for the water as well. Sometimes there is a scarcity of water, and if you don't get enough water, then the water will go to the officers, but not to the barracks. And often that they will also run they also run what they call the cleanliness check. The wives of the officer will go into the barracks, go into the houses of the non-rank of the rank and file, and they will check if the house is clean, or how they maintain themselves, how do they store their own material, their assets as well. So there will be the wife of the regiment commander, there will be the wife of the that is officer in church, and they will even ask also the wives of the soldiers and the other non-commissioned officers to come and do the cleaning. Is mandatory, and that if you don't have a position, then you'll be ordered to do this, and you'll be asked to do that. So it's always that so if you are a wife, if you're married to someone who is not an officer, it is harder for the women as well, because you don't get support as well, that that you are being asked to do certain things, and that you don't also get a chance. Although there are public meetings called dabars that are organized in regiment, they're supposed to be where you have the chance to speak up, but you are not allowed to. You cannot. Sometimes you don't even get sufficient amount of water for cooking or for utilities. And in some of the regiment areas, you don't get enough water for personal use. But then there will be mandatory, like plantations or the house kitchen or the kitchen gardens. You have to grow that. We don't have enough water, but they don't want to understand the situation. You must plant your own food. So it is very hard. And and also there are also a lot of people who will not be able to take it and live the life of the military or the life of the military family as well. On the base where we were posted, that one of the surgeons, passed away because of a disease, and a week later, and that they got his widow was staying, at the home, but they were still struggling to find a new place, and then the regiment, the wife of the wife of the regiment commander will come in and say, you will need to move because we have a new surgeon coming in. And that was it is also said for them, and that her husband, the surgeon who passed, had spent 20 years service in the military, and yet there is no consideration for them, and that is also said for them. The way the officers see their rank and file is that the officers have full power, full mandate, and that military is an institution that is for them to use as they wish. That is where they can play any form of nepotism or bribery. Thank you for sharing that. What we have seen is that there has been a systemic discrimination, and according to the rank structure as well, and that so that that I would also like to invite a next speaker, Masana, if you're ready. Yes, I am. So So I would like to ask you this question, Ms. Anna, that you're married to a soldier, and that as a as a person who is married to a soldier, what are the challenges your husband has faced, and what are the how he has lived through his life of a soldier? So when I look at my husband's life of a soldier, I want him to be a good soldier. I want him to be a soldier, aspired by the people, that admired by the people, respected by people. But in reality, it was the opposite after the coup, and the soldiers are hated by the people. People are discontented with the soldier. People resent the soldier to the extent that after the coup, when we go to the market, when we go to the what market, if we go to the shop, these are the shops. These are the shops that where we regularly frequent. So they know us as the wives of the soldier, and that they will say that they are afraid, and they were afraid, and that they will not, that we have to go by another. And then when we go back to the base, because it's quite far, we have to take a motorcycle to get there, and we have to be afraid, and that if somebody is following us, if there is another motorcycle, riding after us, we are worried that somebody is going to shoot at us, or somebody is going to trying to stab us with a sword. That you know that and that So what we are, the challenge, that the reality that we have faced as a wife of a soldier inside the military is that is that you know that there is always there is always for different forms of oppression, and that if you are there is always that bit of exploitation from the seniors, or the for the superior officers. When I arrived there, I have I have formerly I have lived in a nice in a quite a decent life, and that I was able to live decently. I was not rich. I was able to spend. I had enough to spend for the necessities and to be able to live quietly. But when I go in, and that some of the and I also try to have a good relationship with the seniors, with the women who are that married to the seniors, to my husband, or juniors, or to my husband. They may be younger or older. We had a very good relationship, but however, I was discriminated by their wives or their officers, that the way that they are not, they don't like it that I have a, because of my work, that I was able to lead a decent life. I was able to spend many I was able to afford certain things, and they were always sort of like have a that they will always be picking on me, and the indabas, as I would speak up on behalf of the foot soldiers, the wives of the soldiers, because I present these voices, because I raised my voice for the others. So they are not happy with me. They definitely do not like that I spoke up, and that and I've seen also I've also faced and seen forms of discrimination as well. One After I got married, and then I became pregnant. When I was pregnant, that on every Saturday, you have to do mandatory cleaning. So that every wife of the soldier have to do two bamboo lengths, which is about 12 to 12 to 20 feet of a length of area. I said I'm pregnant and I cannot do this job, so I asked for another one to help me. When I asked for the assistant, because I'm pregnant and because I cannot do physical work, I asked for the assistant the next week, and that they will say that why is that I asked for somebody to replace me because I cannot do that. And she would ask me out in front of they know there are many wives of the soldiers who are doing the cleaning, and yet they know I was not there. They and that that the other soldiers said that I'm doing on her behalf, and that she has to speak up. And that as a pregnant mother, as I was expecting, their policy is that during that so that they were you can only take a rest after 6 months of pregnancy. But I have asked for assistance from the wife of the soldier, so I was able to take rest earlier before 6 months. But when you are 6 months, it's already very difficult to move around. You cannot sit or stand easily. They do not understand it. They said, Patrick, the weekly cleaning is is mandatory, it's your duty as married to a wife of the soldier. You have to do it. And also, like, if there are visits from the senior officials, then you have to do that cleaning like 2-3 days before. Like then the RP will call us to say that make sure that all your clothes that you are drying must be kept inside. The children must be kept inside the house. They don't want to see anyone outside. They use a fear. They use they use power to control the subordinates, and that after I had my child, I had to had a cesarean to give birth. So I gave a 1 year break only from the cleaning job. But then I was given other tasks like going to the for example, like collective prayer sessions of the recital of the sermons and other duties as well. And when the coup happened, then they said that there is a need for more security for our regiment. In that case, they said that all the soldiers they have to, some of them have to be deployed, so that is that that is also to so that they have to do that they were asked as the wife and the children to take security guards. I said I was asked to do security. That my son is only 10 months old, and that like me, other young mothers, there were about 13 young mothers. The children are not even 1 year old. The children are very young, and yes, we tried to request to the wife of the officer, could you assign us other duties? Because for us to stand guard, it is from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and it's late at night, and that that we cannot do that at home. That our child will be, could be that the children will not like it, and that say that it is that and that so we try to request it not to able to do that, and then it was still that said, "Oh, this is the order," and that it is so we don't have that. We say that I was trying to raise it. I have to say that no way, this is order come from it, so I had to do that as well. And that so at the time there were young mothers with 3 young children, and we have also have when there were also that we had to go and take a security post. We have to guard as well, so that we have to stand guard all night. And we had to do where do you have to stand guard in front of the house of the IC commander, is it the commander, and then the wives of the commander will check their cane post at 6 p.m. At the 7 p.m. they go back home, and then they just go back home and they don't do anything. They just go to bed. At the time, the situation was very volatile, and it was that is likely so that however, I mean, the situation is not good, but we have to stand guard in front of their houses as well. And I've never attended any kind of military training. I'm a mother and a young mother, and have been able to train. I had negotiation. I don't know how to shoot again. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do anything because I haven't received any kind of training at all. And I'm a child. If there has been any attack, and then my child lives and my life would have been sacrificed, and that the children, I mean, we are there. The children are very young, and that they started crying. That one child started crying, the other children also continued to cry. So three children were crying at the same time. It was quite loud, and that I said that it's not happening. It's not. I mean, we cannot stay here. The children are young. The children are disturbed by the by the elements. They are crying. We have to speak it. We are mothers, and that. So I told to the commander, I go to the commander house because the other wives were like too scared to go to them. That and they were closing the door. I knock on the door. I said, "The sister." I call her. Yes, what? I said, our children are crying very loud, and I told them that. She said that no, no, this is an order that comes from the top. You have to do this. That if we don't, if we let you go away from from doing your duty, and then they will say that inside the military is always these orders are important. We must do this. I was really, really, that really, I really make angry. So I shouted at her, I yelled at her because I was angry. Why you are sleeping inside a safe place, and we are guarding that. We are guarding your house. Our children are very young. Some of them are 8 months old. We have 9 months old. We have 10 months old. These are young children. How can they be outside in the hush, outside in the elements? Because when in Myanmar there is also the tradition or a superstition that when you have a young child that you are not that they would make sure for security reasons they would say that no, the child should not be taken outside after dark. I said that that I was really angry, and my voice get loud, and yet so other officers, wife of the officer also hear the voice, and that they started saying saying that as well, and that they say that and that they say it's okay that so I say you can go back, so I go back home and I don't stand guard. And then the next morning that a soldier came to say that the commander that the major wants to see you at the office, so that he said that that is that and that it is not they are not court martialing you, but they just want to ask question. So that they said that both they want to hear both sides. Actually, I was on call the carpet being taken, and I was asked to sign a parole and say that I would never abandon my post. I say no, I won't do that. I say no because I didn't make a mistake. And they said if you don't want me to stay inside the regiment, then it's fine. I can stay home. I can stay on my own home. I don't need to stay at the base if you want to be. So that the major said that he wants to he also trying to trying to resolve it. In the end, I have no choice but to sign on the parole and then make it commitment that I will not abandon. And that they also that go and apologize to the officer. I can't apologize to her because I didn't make a mistake. I explained to the major is how are you going to deal with this, because we are young mothers and we have the children are very young, and how do we do that? And they say that okay, that in that case that when okay, you have to stand guard, but you can just stand guard until like there are no more passerbys like until like 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. and you can go back home and sleep at house. Then what is the what I mean like, what's the part? Can we not do something else? Can you not assign me other duties apart from the guarding the post? He said no, we have no choice, you have to do this. That no, so I talked to him, I asked him that what if in that case, what about that we have single, we have unattached mothers like who don't have who are young wives, and they don't have a children or something, they will be able to take care of it. So they said that they will accept that they will accept the others substituting the replacement as well. But but what we know is that the wife of the commander is actually is holding is really has a vengeance and is not happy with me, and that that they would say that, and then they will always be saying things in such a way that I mean, she will not directly tell me this is what is happening or that. So, because on the day where we have to go do a go recite their sermons together on the at the at the public hall, the prayer hall, and then you have to wear, as there is a dress code, you have to dress how your head this way, or you have to wear the uniforms. And that this young wife came in and said that she was not wearing her hair in the right way. They said that why are you wearing your hair like that, and are you trying to compete against me, and that you must know your place and you are not the same level at me. And that that she was not happy at all that I spoke up, and that came out of all the all the other wives of the seniors that know that, because they know that she's picking on her to indirectly to hit to tell to me. And that and I was as in this takes to this we have a like a deputy warrant officer wife was there, and she was saying just be patient, just tolerate this, because if they know we all know that all the wives of the rank and file know that if I spoke up, then there's going to be a big dispute with a big argument with that. And that what I know is since then I was always being targeted, picked on, and then being especially that bullied by her for that as well. Inside in the on the base, that as wife of the soldier, I don't know about other base, I don't know about the other regiments. We have a special shop for the soldiers' family. The idea is to provide the projects at a like a special price. Normally actually it should be called a tata, is as in a special way, and that special shops that has special discount or special price. That means, but we don't call it the masa. We call it that is the hard hitting, and that we call it the hard hitting shop instead of the discount shop, because if the price of a kilo of onion is 500 jets outside, they will sell at 600 jets, but on their accounts they will show 400 jets. So that, and then they don't like it if you don't buy from their shop. So some of what happened then what they will do is that you also have to make calculations, and they have to they will not tell you, like you can also, the wives of the soldiers can buy but can buy on credit, so they will not tell the price, and they will just go and get it. They can go and take some, and then they will not tell you the price. You only know at the end of the month, and that's the prices of this shop supposed to be special discount. It is higher than the market rate, and that the wives of the soldiers, full soldiers, their husbands make about 180,000 or 190,000. I have forgotten. My husband, as a surgeon, makes about 210,000. His insurance guarantee, he has a contribution in the MEC, but even then, there are a lot of deductions for his life insurance. We don't get anything. They had made deductions for our mandatory investment in the MEC. They even deducted that for their newspapers fees, and we never receive any newspaper. They cut 1,350 just. And then, for the families, they need to pay for their children, and the husbands are in the front lines, and the wives will cook some like dry fish or fish paste, so that can last longer, and they want to send it to their husbands. They cannot make do with the salary of their husband. Even that was when talking about, that was before the coup. Even now with the coup, with the high prices of basic commodities, it will even be harder. As inside the military, there are always a lot of who are like exploiting this region. These wives of their foot soldiers, they are poor, they don't have enough money. So when they have to pay back, what they have to do is that they will borrow money, and they will promise to give the quota they receive for the rice, because as soldiers they receive some rice as well. So they would do that, and then what they would do is always these loans were given by the higher officers, and then what they will do is they will just take the rice at the end of the month. And this kind of that the sort of like this kind of micro loan coming from the paying for the rice, is that what they will do is they will only give you 7,000 shares, but at the end of the month they will cut like 12,000 or 15,000 chats worth of rice from the front of the soldier. So it is a huge interest they are putting up on it, and the wives of the soldier are struggling. I raised the issue in the public meeting and say the families are struggling and please help them. And they said so that this office that where so we start to raise the issue, and we know that it is if we I mean, if they don't like us speaking out at the public meeting in Daba, I can speak out on by that to her directly as well. What happened is I'm the only one who speak, and then they will not do anything. And that so one of the that there was also an officer who is in charge of the quarter, in charge of the quartermaster, who has a quartermaster duty. And then when she first arrived, she wanted to know about what is happening, what they want to do, what kind of support is there, what kind of support we needed. And she said she wanted to help. So I raised the point, but later, instead of helping her, she used what I have learned, what she had learned from her, to be able to work with the wife of the commander. So in the end, if you speak up in these public meetings or the Daba, if you speak up, then you'll be targeted and you'll be punished socially. You'll be punished that in a differently. Your husband also punished. So in the end, I learned my lesson as others have done. You will at the public meeting, you say, "Is there anything you want to discuss?" We just say, "No, everything is fine." So that's how it went, really. We had so much expectation from the Demo. Both my husband and I had expected a lot from the life of the Sudan. We had but then we were not to say that, but we had expected a lot. And when the first election came, we were able to vote. That we went to vote. We voted for the NLD. That even if we don't meet international standards, and we are hoping that we will be, even if we don't meet the international salary, we can get at least half of it, and we expect quite a lot from the changes as well. We hope that when we are as a soldier, we can own our only expectations from the income as well, and but we don't have a chance now, like other brother has well. We don't have our own time. We don't have we don't have our own life. So every time, then we have to go and do that as well, and then what they will do is that they will always ask us to they will ask us also to take they will always ask us to like take photos, and they will also ask to grow plants, and they will also like to make sure you have to you have to grow banana trees. You have to take photos of the banana trees. You have to also have to take picture of like how many branches of banana that they produce, and that, and also to be able to do that as well. And that if I say that and that for example, like what is the cost for this growing these plantations, for example, like if it costs us 10,000, that 10,000, that he will only put 6,000. But no, that's not true, that it costs us 10,000, Jen. It should be 10,000. We should say 10,000. No, my husband will say that even if costs up that even if they are deducting 10,000 from us, and my husband said the cost is only 6,000. I said, "That's not true. You are deducting 10,000, and just say 10,000. It should reflect reality. Look at the wives of the soldiers. They are all struggling." And another thing I would like to say, we had so much expectation from the military, and that on that day he came back around 4 p.m., and then he was taking a nap. And I wanted to do some grocery shopping. So I was going to a small grocery shop hold by this also. They said the soldiers are not allowed to have a shop. So there are some people who were who were solely differently. They say that it's that on the first of February, that the wives of the soldiers say there will be a coup. It's not possible. We don't know that. I had to came back, and asked my husband to get up. I said, it's impossible. How can that be? They said it's not impossible. How can you say such bad words? And I try to get online. I can't. I try to and then I can't really make a call. The phone is also out of order. And then I turn on the TV, and when watch the Miaowadi, there was a formal announcement. The military has announced the coup, and we said all our expectations are gone, because when we voted for NLD into relation, we had so many expectations that our lives will be changing. And then my husband said, "I want to join the CDM." And that, "No, please, you don't do that, because think of your family." They said, if your husband joined the CDM, they will confiscate your assets. They can also put you in prison. So I'm very afraid. And I was stopping her from him joining, but now I regret that. Now that we have left it, so we have a place to stay. We're also able to live. We also receive the love and the kindness from the people. So we're able to get the benefits. So I really regret that we didn't live earlier, so that you don't have to worry about about the starvation, or you're having problems. So if you have our seniors or juniors or wives, and then if your husbands are asking about the CDM, you should let him do that, because that is the right way to do, and you will get support.
ကတော့တော်တော်ပြည့်စုံပါတယ်မနော်တထဲမှာနေရတာဒါဒီတထဲမှာနေပြီးတော့ဒါ
And
စစ်တီ
you share a very comprehensive experience of the wife of the soldiers, and we learn all the discriminatory conduct, the oppression, the inhumane treatment to the women, to the pregnant, wife, to the children. So these are all the experience that we've learned from you. Now I would like to invite the CDM Captain Nyan. You are the ex-soldier. I just would like to understand from you what kind of soldier that you wanted to be and what is the difference between the reality and your ambition. I wanted to be a real soldier who protect its country, who has very serious fate on the country and to the people. I grew up in the military camp and I joined the military for all the reasons. And in the end, I found out that the career that I had was completely different from the ambition that I had and the vision that I have, which is the real soldier. As my young brother and Sandar mentioned, and based on the experience I had, I clearly experienced that we could not complain anything. We just followed the order. Whenever we talked about the order that we've got was to be seen as the justice and the right thing. But then again, the order that was imposed on us was manipulated by the superior. And that is the experience that the soldiers experience, the policemen experience. And as Masanta mentioned, in the military, the superior bully the lower rank, and the bully act is everywhere from your superior. And that exploitation, bully, discrimination were all imposed not only on the soldiers themselves, but also on the wives and family members of the soldiers. The public knew it very well after staging the coup that whatever the military said was not true. Propaganda. The public know very clearly now. But then again, the military claim themselves that they are protecting the country. But then again, we all knew that it is not true. They are just using the psychological warfare on the people. And another thing that I would like to talk about is the negative experience that the soldier face, as well as the dependents of the soldier's family face. I looked at my father. I learned the difficulties of my father had with the military. I try not to have the negative experience of my father. But then again, I was also controlled by the system. Like my father experienced at his time. My father was from army, and my father was in the front line. I was left, and the family of my father was left behind, and we lived on the ration that we had while my father was out in the front line. And the experience that we had at that time was very much like a slave treatment. And on top of that, in terms of our opinion, in terms of our thinking, in terms of our critical mindset of us, all of them were controlled by the superior. What I'm trying to say is that the children of the soldiers had to go to the school in the army camp. We were not allowed to go to the other schools outside of the army. So all the human rights and any other civil liberties were not given to the dependent of the soldiers. Whenever they talked about the standard armies, nothing matched with the standard army that they talked about. They brainwashed the soldiers. They brainwashed the families of the soldiers. They brainwashed the wives of the soldiers. So it is very clear that the whole community in the army were completely controlled, blocked, closed, and as a result of it, the children of the soldiers could not see outside the world and could not have any other mindset or creativity or critical thinking. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. You are the son of the ex-army man, and you yourself was the ex-soldier, and you share your situation inside the army. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite back Demo. Demo, you heard about the situations of the children of the soldiers. In order to have our conversation, are there any exploitations or abuse that the children of the soldiers experience? If you would share about that, thank you. Well, I knew that the children of the soldiers were asked to to be part of the security patrol. I did not have that experience, and I also heard that the family member of the soldiers were to join the security training. So they made all this kind of announcement in the residential area, of the army, announcing that the children of the soldiers were to join the security training. I did not want to join, so I left the army and rented a place myself outside of the army. And I also noticed that they also use the propaganda message in in calling us to join the security training, saying that your father was at risk, the external intruders are coming, so it is our responsibility to protect the country and to protect our fathers at the front line. So please join in the security training. It is your duty to help your father, to help the country, to help the religion. I think this does not make any sense. I did not join that kind of training. And I also noticed that their security training was not that meaningful at all. They did not have um, any proper practice at all. They were just running here and there, and they were practicing all this fatigue, this kind of thing. And then another thing that I would like to talk about is the phone, the tattoo. So we are not allowed to use the phone when they saw somebody with tattoo. They stereotype the one with tattoo as the thug. And another thing is that all these soldiers, or the children of the soldiers who got the security training, are posted on the street in the security checkpoint. And whenever they check the individual, they looked their phones, they look if they've got tattoo, and then they came up with all sort of negative comments and making problems to the civilians at the security checkpoint. And we were given 7,000 Myanmar charts or 8,000 Myanmar charts to do this kind of security checkpoint job. So I knew that it happened as well. If there would be VIP coming or going on the street, then these children of the soldiers who got this training would be posted on the security checkpoint with this money. And whenever they talk with the civilian, they could not talk to the civilian in a normal way. They just look at the phone, and they also search money, cash, if the civilian would be carrying. And then if there would be the sons or the daughters of the VIP person, then they will just let go. I knew all of that happened, and I also had many friends outside of the army. So some of them ask me to sell the phone that they confiscated from the civilian outside of the army through me. So after the coup, I realized that some of the captain and some of the soldiers are doing well with all the extra incomes. They got the salary normally that would not make them being able to buy a shoe, but after the coup, they managed to buy motorbikes and even a second-handed car. And, and one of the captains asked me to accompany him to go to another town to have a car, not with his salary. His salary would not be able to buy a car for sure. So that what I'm trying to say is that after the coup, there is this brief corruption happened massively, and there are also local gambling places as well, and then they would ask money from this local gambling place to get the 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 bribery, and then they are now doing it very well in that perspective. So basically, the rule of law is not there. They make the law, the soldier make the law, the military make the law these days. So I have the impression that they are acting the conduct of the rebels rather than the military. And another thing that I would like to talk about is that the children of the soldiers, the children of the surgeon were treated very badly at the lower level. So another thing that I would like to talk about is that the children of the superior, we did not see them, and they did not use their children for the other activity in the military. So only the children of the lower rank were manipulated, were exploited with all this propaganda that it is our duty to protect the people, to protect the religion. And the children of the lower rank were giving the military training and then teaching them to to shoot. So some of the youth thought that it was quite cool to open fire. So another thing that I would like to talk about is that after the coup, some of the superior became rich, and they they brought many phones of the civilian, and they tried to sell them as well, and they also brought motorbikes of the civilian after cracking the peaceful demonstration down, and they also arrest the civilian, and then they would release the civilian from the military investigation if the family of the detainee would pay huge amount of sum money. That's what they do. And another thing that I would like to talk about, well, I cannot say if it is all across the country, but what I experience is that some of the superior rank are now building huge buildings, their home. and some of the superior rank women military personnel can now buy all the latest fashion items, materials, phones after the coup. They could not afford before that. And I was from Mandalay, and some of the superior military personnel asked me to go out and sell the vehicles on behalf of them, since I normally go out. So basically, I end up even the broker between the superior who confiscated the vehicles and with the buyers who was outside of the army. And one of the captain who confiscated the bike told me that, you know what, I have a bike that a motorbike that I confiscated from the member of the PDF. So will you sell it out for me? And at that moment, I realized that my broker job was dirty. I stopped doing that. I would not do that anymore. So I stopped doing that kind of broker job. And this captain would also ask me to bring him to the entertainment life in the city as well, going to the bar, going to the nightclub, and everything. So I had to accompany him as well. And that captain mentioned that I can do whatever I want. I can even I can even kill someone that I want, and that captain will protect me. I was not happy, even though I've got this privilege from this captain. I knew it is very wrong. It is very corrupted. It is not proper at all. So that's why I moved to another place to hide myself. I want to dissociate with this kind of activities. I will just give you an example that a motorbike would 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 cost 4 million, and with this 4 million Myanmar charts, and that would be the normal price. But with this confiscated motorbike, and that captain would sell it with 2 million charts. So with this 2 million charts extra bribery incomes or the dirty money, then that captain would share this amount of money to the others, to his gang as well. So basically, this is a life that they have. And their behavior was very, very low morale behavior. It's just like a dog. Some of a soldier would not understand what is right or wrong. And sometimes the lower rank would be giving some favor, and if the lower rank would get some favor, then they will think that it is quite a life that they got from, or it is quite a blessing that they've got from the superior level, and then they would do whatever they were asked by the superior. So the favor that, or the blessing that the lower rank would get from the superior would be a dinner or a drink. Then for a dinner and for a drink that they would be given by the superior level, then they would do whatever the superior asked them to do, since their critical thinking and their mindset were completely manipulated, brainwashed. And another thing that I like to talk about is that the military people think whatever they do is right. And they also manipulate the families of the soldiers to be with their gang. And and some of the military personnel family would think whatever they do is right. Their daily life is the cycle of fatigue in the morning, doing some sort of small activities in the daytime, being drunk in the evening, and that's it. So they thought that it is quite a blessing life. And at this moment, people people see them as the walking corpse, and people's call the army camp as the living cemetery. People hate them that much. So, but people have all the reason to hate them as well, due to all the atrocities, due to all this brutalities that they experience from the soldiers as well. They are now practicing all this rule by law. They are practicing corruption. They enjoy the bribery, and the the militarism is a concept that the system hammered in the head of the families of the soldiers. All they say is that to take order and follow the order. Well, I can go on all their corruptions, I can go on their misconduct, or I can go on with their behaviors. And I can go on all of this nasty thing the whole night, and I would not even have enough time to talk about all this dirty thing, nasty thing. Again, public tell them that the soldiers are the walking corpse, and the army camp as the living cemetery. Again, there is a security checkpoint. People people experience all the negative treatment by the soldiers to the civilian at the security checkpoint. The children of the soldiers do not know what is right and what is wrong because they were being brainwashed. And again, the phones of the family members of the soldiers were even checked. So basically, there is this systematic propaganda that they do even to the family members of the soldiers. They do not know about these civil liberties. They do not know about the freedoms. But then again, the children of the soldiers were giving some sort of security training, were giving some sort of uniform, and then that children thought that it was quite a life that they enjoyed. And then they thought that they are maintaining the law and order. And most of them do not know why they joined the military, what the military is there for. So, in the end, they think that whatever they do is right, they are keeping the law and order, and everything they do it's for the good of the people, which is completely wrong. Thank you.
ရဲ့လုံခြုံရေးဆိုင်ရာကိစ္စတွေကိုဒါခိုင်းစေနေရတယ်တွေ့ရတယ်ပေါ့
Thank you
နော်
for sharing and according to your stories and recounting, and that in a way that you also have talked about the abuse and the discrimination. There are also a misappropriation of the public assets or that arrest that they are making as well. In a way, they are using their power in with the different purposes as well. So I would like to call back to Masena that says that that so you knew that it is also we also have heard about the challenges when the soldiers are when the soldiers are in the front lines. What are the difficulties and challenges the family faces? But what about the mobilization inside their base regiment on base? What kind of mobilization is there, or brainwashing, or propaganda? Psychological warfare is there after the coup, and that they say that for now for security reason, they say that for their wives as well as on the mothers, we have been asked to do we have to be security guards, and that they also do this propaganda, like the psychological warfare or the propaganda against that. They say that by saying that you shouldn't join the CDM, you cannot join the CDM, and they will say things like I think it's how to tell you that they said that if you do the CDM, then you'll be you will be then you'll be violating your oath. So that there will be that when the soldiers join the military, you have to swear an oath. You have to swear an oath of allegiance. If you join the CDM, then you will be punished according to that as well. And that they will always say in the Daba that please encourage your husband, please encourage your husband, so that said don't let them go join the CDM, don't let them run away, don't let them defect the military. You need to encourage your husband that you have to say that even if you don't have any money, or if you are having difficulty, don't tell your husband that you are in difficulty. And they said that don't make them unhappy. And then they were also they said that whenever they were able to capture the CDM, they said they will give them death penalty. They will kill them all. They said according to military law, they will be killed. And that I'm also afraid. I'm very afraid because for my half my for my husband. That's why I have stopped him there. Since the beginning of the coup, he said he wanted to join it. He wanted to join the CDM. Since the very beginning, he told me that he wanted to join the CDM. I told him no. I was quite worried, and that's why. And that in the end, he decided to make the CDM, and that I didn't know about it because I don't blame him. I don't blame him per se. And that though he said he has tried this side, he had joined the side. I told him to come back to our family. He said no. And that have you made a decision? He said, if you have made a decision, then I will say anything. The next morning, my husband tried the CDM on the 30th, on the 20th, on one of the 30th, and that the military office callers called me to say that call back your husband. Is it sure? Has he made the DDM? In that case, they said that you will be kicked out. They said, if you will be kicked out, then kick us out. At that time, my husband is a surgeon clerk, so he was in charge of the military duty, and while he was going on the task, he left his post, and then he had defected. And the way they reported about my husband is that he they say that they say although my husband want defected while he was going out under the duty, they described this in a different way about this. And then the RP and that military police say that we can only stay in the military until the end of the month, and then we have to leave the barracks. That we are no longer eligible, we are no longer allowed to stay inside. So I requested them. I talked to the major that I still have to take care of the affairs. So please give me more time, more time. They said that they will think about it. And then when I came back home after requesting them about 10 days before the end of the month, said, no, I must leave. I must leave. My husband said that just leave. And then I told him, say no. And then at the end of the month, I just carried off all my stuff. And then I got a car to move my properties. And even before I left and joined my husband, at that time, that meant the salary is given on the 29th, 29th Fridays. On the 29th, my husband, that 120,000 and 24,000. I had the money, and that I was using the money on the 30th. My husband joined the CDM. On the 31st, they kick him out. So on the first, they say that for the salary that I have received on the 29th, I must give it back. That I must give her the salary. I said, I don't have the money. I said, I've already used it. And that I know that my husband also said that, so I understand about the safety. So I told him that, well, in that case, that what about our rights? So we had contributed to the MBC, Myanmar Economic Operation. That what about my husband life insurance? What about it? I also have contributed to the savings as well. What happened? So we're not getting that we didn't get the full, but they said that for the banker saving, and then they already had sent it to the military auditor's office, and that my husband is supposed to get 500,000 just for his life insurance. And that was the man. They said that, they said, what did they say? They said and they also took the money of the 2 months loan that Aung San Suu Kyi has given us in our days as well. It really hurt us that they're taking what we are entitled to, and they are also taking our money. My husband has served until the 30th of the military, and the salary for the month that he has served for one day that he missed the job and he missed the work because of the CDM, they were like they asked his salary back, and we had to pay that back. And before we left, and we tried my husband as well. Another challenge that we have faced is that when my husband is there, or without the time without the husband, there is a big difference as well. And that we know that when they do that my husband had joined the digital movement, and they will say like, I'm useless, I'm no longer good for nothing. And that meant was very hard for us. I don't want to stay inside. I don't want to stay because I want to, that my husband just left without anything. So we still have part of the work that I was doing. So for all that reason, I will bear in mind, and that stay that I don't even, I don't even go out much, because if I'm going out, they will be looking at me and saying things about me, and that I don't want to deal with that. Like the other boy was saying that if I were to go to the canteen on that day, that if we're to canteen, my mother wants to have a cold drink, so I go and buy. So the wife of the officers were speaking and were saying that her husband my husband had defected, and that they call it, they should be they will be considered as a CDM at that time. My husband, I didn't know that my husband was CDM. That I was worried that that the fact that my husband is a PR. I know is that what they have told us, the threat that they have made is that my husband will be killed because he joined the CDM. That's what I was worried about. So I was asking like that, because they are the wife of the. I asked them, is it true? Is it true? Yes. If you ran away, if you ran from the military, then you are part of the CDM. Then that you are part of the CDM. I will say that he will be punished according to the CDM law. It was rainy season, and that it was not even the end of the it was not even the rain of the moon rainy season. And my son and I, we have to move under the rain despite the challenges, because in Myanmar normally people will not move during the rainy season, but they were asked to move, and that also it makes it harder. So that I was always speaking up, because I will stand by the truth. I will also speak up for the wives of the foot soldiers. So although they like me, and that they want to support me, but that even if they like him, yes, the way they would is well, her husband joined the CDM movement, so we don't want to think about how we don't want to how to take care of us. So they were not really think twice about this. I was staying with I have a young child, and that I was I have also my mother, and we have to leave on a very early morning. It was a very sad, it was raining, and then they just kicked me out. They just evicted us without any kindness for the efforts that we have undertaken. That's something that stay with me all time. So thank you for sharing, and also the way the military would make people afraid about the joining the CDM movement, as well as using propaganda as well, and that at the same time that you also face a discrimination while that your husband is there or not. So I would like to invite once again that Nyan, a CDM captain, Nyan. So yourself is a CDM soldier, and you are also the head of the family. You are also a father to a son as well, and that so looking at the looking at the current political process, can you also share how important the role of the father or the image of the father is for the family? Since the coup of 2021, like as others have I think Messena also has spoken out in in her part as well, and that for her husband, that the military has that when her husband joined the CDM, when her husband left the military abruptly, that she has faced challenges. That's a family. She has faced difficulties, and that really illustrate the case in this way as well. Inside the military, when that soldiers inside there, for those soldiers who are still serving inside the terminal or the military, and that for the family members depend on being in service, and that is a challenge they have to face. Some of the soldiers are very dutiful, very responsible, accountable, and they were able to make the sacrifice and serve a long time inside the military, and they have done what they could to contribute to the army. And yet that when this political problem challenge happened, and they defected and they left the military, and instead of understand the reality why they have left her, that instead of looking at what really happened, the military will hide the truth. The military will hide what is really happening. So that by them hiding the truth, the reality, like Masana has explained in the beside the military, there on the base that there will be different narratives that they will make, and the narratives usually they will run will be on the siding with the bully, siding with the injustice, and that this is. If I were to say it, that as a soldier, we have to be proud of our making that decision, that joining the CDM by leaving the military, that you stand by the people, and you choose to stand by the people, and that I think something we should be very proud of as a soldier, as a family member, as a father, because we are trying to build a better future for our children, and for their future, and also gives them a good image. However, inside the military, they will strike this certain kind of they will format this kind of image, and that's the image they want to hate. They don't want the people to use their energy for anything else. So they will use different ways to brand to us, including the fear and the propaganda, to brainwash and to format the people into certain way of thinking, so that they are still running these psychological warfare to trap the families of the soldier inside the military, because they want them to stay inside the military at all costs. So they will do the side where they will brainwash them. In the average family, the father, the image and the role of the father is extremely important. In the same way that we don't need to think about, so in the same, but we don't need to think about the propaganda or the psychological warfare of the military. That that it is important that the soldiers, and that that non-commissioned officers and as a full soldier need to think about as well. How are you living inside the base? How are you living? What is the reaction of the people towards you? How people are discussed this with the military, how you're resented by the people. Now that when we are by standing by the people, we get a good family life. We also feel psychologically that we also feel free. We also feel independent. We feel that we have the right to do our own destiny. And these are the points we should be taken into consideration. Thank you. I would also like to run the last question about the future federal army. So, what kind of, what kind of future federal army you want to establish with us, with the soldiers? What kind of soldiers? What kind of future federal army do we want? Well, right now, NUG government has an objective. They have a goal. They are trying to build they are trying to build also that future federal army. For that to happen, I think it is important that the military get rid of this bullying, as well as on hierarchical oppression, as well as on the exploitation of these officers. I think it is important to ensure that it is also important to also do relax the restriction against the juniors or subordinates and the rank and file. It is important to ensure a soldier where there will be equality and there will not be discrimination from the superiors against their subordinates.
Hello?
We're having a technical difficulties. Please bear with us.
Hello?
We have lost the audio of one of the speakers. Please bear with us. Can you hear me? Apologies for the technical error. Now that we are back, thank you. I would like to ask Ms. Sandar. Yes, I'm here. So how do you what will be the future future federal army? How do you want to see the life of soldiers like your husband and others? How do you see the future soldier is the future federal army? Like my husband, I want the lives of the soldiers to be that of soldiers that are left by the people, that rely on by the people, that the soldiers will be able to protect the nation, and that's what we want in the future army. This is what I want to see, and this is what I also hope that it will happen. Like there will be the good sense of the country. That's what I hope them to be in the future federal army. Thank you for your answer. I would like to invite Kodimo once again. Good evening once again, Kodimo. So as a son of soldier, how do you want to see the life of your father in the future federal army, and that what kind of soldier should constitute the future federal army? In the future federal army, I wish that the military will be free from bullying and oppression and abuse of power and exploitation of the subordinates, and also that the military should refrain from interfering, that those who are and that non-military personnel interfering in their lives, like the wife of the regiment commander or wife of the commanding officer, and they would interfere and they would be running the military along with their husband, and that, oh, this soldier is like that and this officer is like that. That's not good. And we don't want that. So we want the military to be run properly, professionally, without any interference for anyone. It is important that there should be equal freedom and equal rights to all the rank and files, from the foot soldiers to the officers, and that they should also not be that I don't like that these wives of the senior officers interfering in the military system, and that processing should not be. Myanmar is a beautiful country, that people would love to stay in. But however, before we reach that future nation of prosperity and peace, it is important that while we are on the way, my message to the soldiers and that service currently serving and their families, that you should simply try, because 80% of the soldiers in the military are not happy. They don't want to, they want to leave, but they can't due to the bullying or the oppression they are facing from other, and sometimes they also feel that they cannot go away for other reasons. And there are also people who have made the ultimate sacrifice in this revolution, and some already have made the ultimate sacrifice. It is important to think about them and make some efforts. If you make efforts, then leave if you can. If not, do at least something. We'll always welcome you on behalf of the people, and we'll also be we can also help with the others just so that you can get away as well. Try to leave the military. Don't remain inside the army. As as being pushed around, being like pawns being pushed around by the seniors. It is important that we make the effort. As I said earlier, you need to able to enjoy what is a holiday would like. What is a weekend that normally you don't work, that you are not supposed to. You'll be able to enjoy your life, to have a life balance, like work-life balance, and to be also be to enjoy also that the freedom as well, and that you have the dignity, that you may also be, you have an equal freedom appropriate to your level. That's kind of a future army that we want to be, and that for the future federal army to be established, that's why you shouldn't stay, and you cannot stay under the authority of these living cops or the hunter and the hunter and the terminal as well. It is that too many lives has been lost. What I want to see is, as I said before, we want to see a proper professional military free from corruption and bribery, as well as bullying and that oppression, and that without interference from the non-military personnel in the running of the military operations, and the military that is properly equipped and destined to protect the lives and the assets of the people, and that they do not endanger the people, and they respect the people, and that the professional army should be the one who will never turn their guns towards the people, and that kind of military we don't want to see anymore. So that's a future federal army I want to see. They will not point their guns at the people. They will stand by the people. So they should make the efforts. What I'm saying is they should at least make some efforts. We know that the majority of the people don't want to stay in the military. They know that what the military is doing is wrong, and that despite that knowing what is right or what is wrong, don't stay inside, don't stay blindly. That it is important to leave and make the change as soon as you realize it, and that we will also the other side also will welcome you. Thank you to all the speakers. Now we like to take it's time to take questions and then to give answer as well. So you can also ask questions in our Zoom using the Zoom link. You can also raise your questions also that also on in the comment of the Facebook as well. So that so first question is the when the regiments are deployed on the front lines, I think for the light infantry as well as on the light infantry forces and and the divisions, how many soldiers are left behind? According to the military composition is 4 plus 51. That means 4 officers and plus 51 that rank and file, so about 55 people are left behind. That's usual. But however, and when we look at the reserve forces who are left behind when they're, I think it is because of the training or because of the work, and that because of the sometimes they also have to do carry out the other duty, so they might not have that they may not have 55. So if you look at the light infantry forces or the armies, you may have that light infantry battalions, and light infantry battalions may have like 40 people. So that's why they have to push hard on the wives of their soldiers as well as on the dependents, so those who are the dependents of the families authorities have to provide security out there for the regiments when that the soldiers are being deployed as well. So, okay, let me read the second question. So that, in the DSC, at the Defense Service Academy, at the Military Academy, there was a system of the seniors bullying the junior, senior torturing the junior. When did it start? Well, it is. When I was a junior in the DSA, I was also tortured by the senior as well. That the other senior intakes, if you look at the other batches of the senior and the other intake, it also had happened before. We don't know when that has started, but what we do know is that the way the seniors, the junior system is already there. When the senior system is started, the seniors were given power. They were used, they were abused, they would go beyond the power, and they would torture, they would abuse, and they would bully the junior. That happened. I would say that it started in one day. I think, and it started back even under Detective Nyan or Nashri, and that because they started with their every intake, the intake which arrived earlier will be given the role of the senior to manage the junior, and then they're already abuse and torture is happening. So I don't see any other questions. If you have any other questions, please write your questions in the chat box, in the chat, in the Q&A, or you can also write down your questions in the comments on the Facebook page, and we'll try to respond to your questions. I am not seeing any hands or any questions raised, so I'll be ending our talk show here. Thank you very much for joining us on Zoom. Thank you very much also for watching us on live stream. Thank you to our speakers, and thank you to the people of Myanmar for joining us in this show. And we're wishing you the best of health and that mental joy. Thank you for joining us. See you next week.
Listen, baby, Mong tu yes, I rebel out, Jesus.